Ask a historian, what was mankind's greatest invention? Fire, the wheel, the sword? I would argue it's history itself. History isn't fact, it's narrative, one carefully curated and shaped. Under the pen strokes of the right scribe, a villain becomes a hero. A lie becomes the truth.
But history is never just a record of the past. It is crucial to acknowledge that in the wrong hands, it's a lethal weapon, a true weapon of mass destruction. Why? Because it exploits time itself. Biased narratives can be crafted to suit political agendas, undermining truth and distorting our perceptions of the past. As George Orwell cautioned in his seminal work 1984, those who control the present can manipulate the past and shape the future. Orwell reminds us to be careful of those who write and control the history books because they can control how we see the past itself. They who control the history that we learn wield immense power. When history is lost, erased, or distorted, people become ignorant of their true potential. It is no coincidence that the slave master sought to strip slaves of their names and history.
His methods were very simple, but they were diabolical. Keep the slave physically strong, but psychologically weak and dependent on the slave master. Keep the body, take the mind.
Because by severing their connection to their roots, manipulating and controlling the narrative, they can erase their past and cultivate a dependent slave mentality. Kunta Kinte becomes Toby.
I want to hear you say it. Your name is Toby. You're going to learn to say your name. Let me hear you say it. What's your name?
Kunta Kinte.
Why? Because when you strip a person of their name, of their history, of their culture, of the greatness that lies within their very DNA, that in their blood are kings and queens, artists and doctors, inventors and scholars, saints, and yes, even villains. History is not confined to dusty books and silent archives. It lives literally within us, shaping our identities and informing our choices. The great social thinker, George Santayana, reminds us that those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. The past, while similar, is not exactly the same. Renowned historian Arnold Toynbee cautions that history is not merely cause and effect, but rather should be seen through the lens of challenge and response. Every event is a unique challenge, no matter how similar to the past, and thus our response must also be unique. Mark Twain put it succinctly when he said, "History does not repeat itself, but it often rhymes." And a beautiful corollary to that comes from the Greek thinker Heraclitis, who poignantly quipped that it is not possible to step twice in the same river. Why? Because just as a river constantly changes, so do events and circumstances.